welcome back to Thorn In The Flesh. I'm Pastor Deborah Wilson, founder of Kingdom Life Ministries. I'm working in collaboration with Pastor Charles Hill and On In There Ministries. This week we're going to be doing step 6. But, I was thinking, I had a poem that I think was so perfect for step 5. So I wanted to share this with you today, and then we'll go right into step 6. And one of my girls wrote this poem, and I think it's very special. And it says, Father, reacquaint me. Reacquaint me. Before I was born, you sanctified me. The circumstances of life defiled me. Before you formed me in the womb of my mother, you knew me. Negative words spoken altered me. Reacquaint me with me. Rejected, misunderstood, labeled, you're no good. Seeking love in all the wrong faces. Marks of abuse leaves its ugly traces. Reacquaint me with me. I wear this mask so people can't see the depression and sadness inside of me. Faking takes too much energy. I must be reacquainted with me. Drugs, alcohol is all the mouth sedative when the pains of the heart overrides. In its shell is where I hide. I no longer recognize me. Please, Father, reacquaint me with me. Voices of the past began to speak. My strong constitution is becoming weak. Lord, reacquaint me with me. The holy word, your holy word I have read, but there is an argument in my head saying who I am not and what I can't do. All of this is opposite of you. I need to be reacquainted. I bow my knee before the one who's great. I repent of my sins, the confession you take, the confusion you take. I thank and praise you for setting me free, for you're the holy present. I'm reacquainted with me. Before I was formed, you formed me in my mother's womb, you knew me. Before you were born, I sanctified you. Jeremiah 1 and 5. This was written by W.D. Gregory, 2006. And she wrote that poem for me. So I'm grateful. I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's very powerful because we do need to be reacquainted with ourselves. And that's what these steps will help us to do. So in step 6, it says that we became entirely ready to have God to remove all of these character defects, okay? Character of defects. What is that? It's bad habits, it's weaknesses, it's flaws, it's vices, it's falling short. And our shortcomings is our imperfection. It's defect. So the prayer for step 6 says that I'm ready for your help in removing from me the defect of character, that I now realize are obstacles to my recovery. Help me to continue being honest with myself. Guide me towards spiritual and mental health. And that's what this is all about. It's our spiritual and our mental health. Remember, I told you before, we're as sick as our secrets. If we never face those issues, they say face your demons. If we never face those things, we don't get past those mountains and stay in place. And we try and go around them. But the thing is, we have to knock the chains loose and become free. So that's what this is all about. So here we can see step 1 through 5 helped us to build up a foundation for ultimate surrender. See, we need to stay in this position of surrender because we're surrendering to God. And now we can confront all the things we need to confront in our attitudes, in our mind, because now we know that the greater one is inside of us and we're not doing this alone. So we're making preparation to totally alter our life. Really? Totally altering our life. Are you curious about that? Is that exciting to you? Is that fearful to you? But the thing is, be ready. Because, see, this is a new journey. It's a spiritual journey that we're on now. We're on a spiritual journey. The changes that will now take place in our life requires our cooperation and effort. We have to be willing. We have to be willing. This step puts us in a position of preparation to become ready to release everything to God. And that's what we need to do. Stay in the position of surrender. Our willingness will start to increase the more that we confess those things, as we write our issues, as we write all of our defects of characters, our weaknesses, our flaws. As we write those things, we will really be ready, saying, God, take it from me. And that's the place that we want to be, in a place of surrender. And guess what? This won't just happen overnight. We must be patient. We must be patient, because it took us years to get to the place where our life was out of control and these addictive behaviors took over, and we couldn't take control over it. Because if we could have did it on our own, we would have did it, but we could not. So let's just be honest with ourselves. So we must allow God to be in control, because he is. So the sooner that we face that he is in control, the easier our life will become. And this is us learning how to trust him. Remember, sometimes we had people in our life that we tried to trust, but they betrayed us. So it became really, really difficult to learn how to trust again. And to trust a God that we really can't see. But guess what? We know he's real. All you got to do is just let the breeze blow on you sometime. Put your hand on your heartbeat. You'll know that no one but a great, big, awesome, powerful God can create your heartbeat from the time you were in your mother's womb until the time he calls us home. What an awesome, powerful, mighty God we serve. So when we look at the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, we can see that he created all of these great things for us to enjoy. So why don't we allow him? Why wouldn't we think that he could possibly take control and walk us through this journey we call life? The willingness to allow God to work through us and to change our life and to reshape our life, I think that's a wonderful thing. But I know it can be a little fearful. I know it can be a little scary, because we don't know what to expect. Let me help you right here. What we can expect is that we know that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask, think, or even imagine. So why don't we just allow him to be our higher power, the greater power, the ultimate power in our life? So in step 6, as we seek readiness to let God remove our shortcomings, we came to believe in step 1. That was our faith, and our faith is getting stronger. And it becomes stronger the more we believe. And as we allow him to remove all of those old things and we give them to him, we'll see the change happen. We'll start to recognize a new person. The question is, how bad do you want to let go of those old behaviors? See, some things we liked and we held on to because they were our comfort. We didn't want to change some things. See, a lot of times, even as Christians, we'll give God, you can have this much room, and I'm going to keep this much room. But see, we want him to have everything. So as we give him everything, we'll start to see a wonderful, wonderful change come over us. And we won't even identify who we are anymore. And I think that's exciting, because we want to see what God will do in us, through us. So why don't we just stay in a place of surrender and allow him? So step 4 and 5 helped us to look at all the pain and all the issues and our old memories. It let us know that we needed a change. So now that we see the change is necessary, we know it's necessary, we won't continue to fight against it. And we'll allow him to do what is necessary in us. See, if you're not willing to make an honest inventory of our life, guess what? That means the cycle won't break. It'll continue. It'll continue. And it'll continue until we are truly tired of being sick and tired. And then we can really surrender to him. But we don't want to have to be beat down too bad, do we? But sometimes it takes for us to truly hit rock bottom before we start to look up at God. See, that cycle could be a revolving door, and the cycles will continue. And unfortunately, some people never get out of the cycle until they're gone. I don't want to see you lose your life because of something that we can just surrender to God. He's a life giver and sustainer. He's a restorer. So why don't we allow him to do that? See, we have to be willing to face those demons. We have to be willing to face our shortcomings so that we can be healed. Recovery is something that we make a decision to do. It's your responsibility to make the choice. It's our responsibility to make the choice. See, if we want something different, we have to do something different. The desire to recover, it must be more or equal to our desire to use the substances that we used, whether it was gambling, shopping, sex, drugs, pills, eating, it doesn't matter. We have to want to stop more than what we wanted to continue using those substances for. So when we look at all these things that we were addicted to, we did whatever it took for us to get what we wanted. So we have to do the same thing in our recovery. We have to do whatever it takes for us to recover. And that means taking the mask off and looking at ourselves for real in the mirror, without the makeup on, without the mask on, just looking at all your scars, your battle scars, your bruises, all of the things that we face, and all that it cost us to continue to use the substances we did. So now when we see the cost, we count the cost, we know that we're willing to make the change. We're willing to do what it takes to recover. Many times the recognition between willingness can be fearful. Am I willing? What does that really mean? Willingness. Okay, I'm willing to go to the meeting sometimes, but I'm not willing to look at the things I've done. I'm not willing to forgive myself. I'm not willing to let go. See, all of these fears, we have to allow God to carry them. They're too big for us. We wanted to feel that euphoric sensation or the thrill or whatever we were addicted to until we count the cost and look at the loss and feel the pain. We won't change. Character defects were our devices of how we dealt with life. See, it was our manipulation that we used and how we tried to control situations and how we lied to people to make ourselves feel better. Those were some of our character defaults. Those were some of our selfish desires, things that we did to persuade others our way. Those were some of our character defaults. But see, these can be a strength. But when they're used the wrong way, that's when it's a problem. See, God gives us all gifts and talents, but when we surrender them to him, we can use them for the betterment of ourselves. And we won't have that same old stinking thinking. And we will agree to allow God to take care of every situation in our life. So now we have to learn in between these decisions from our past and admitting our faults and our errors, and just get to the place where we are ready to allow God to remove these things from us. So don't allow fear to keep you in bondage. Remember that God loves you and He knows everything that we did. He knows everything we did. Don't allow fear to stop us from allowing the changes to happen in our life. I have an acronym for you today. Fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Remember the frog. Fully rely on God. That's what He wants us to do. See, don't allow the fear of change, of not being sure, to hinder us. When we fully rely on God, and in Psalms 37, 4 and 5, it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. James 1, 5 and 6 says that if you lack wisdom, ask God, who gives it to us generously and without fault. He'll give it to us. Believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave being tossed to and fro. So we don't want to be in that place. I have a couple of scriptures for you today. James 4 and 10. Just humble yourself before the Lord, and He will lift us up. This is a place of where we have to be to allow our defect of character to be removed. And then I want you to look up Philippians 3, 12 through 14. I want you to look up Romans 12 and 2. I would like you to look up 2 Thessalonians 3 and 3, as well as 1 John 5, 14 through 15. That's your homework assignment, just so you know. Anyway, but when we are in a place of being ready, readiness is when you know the truth about ourselves, and we will not allow fear to stop us from the process of recovering and being restored. We're asking God to help us, and we will be ready and willing to allow God to make the changes in us. He knows exactly what He's doing. So let God do what He will do. And as we look at our defect of characters, it was our survival skills. It was our harmful behaviors and negative traits and undesirable parts of ourselves, and each and every one of us has that. We all have that. We have different coping skills and mechanisms that we use to protect and even to defense. It was our defense mechanisms that we use to keep us from dealing with pain of emotions, and it also put us in a place where it minimized situations. And see, we don't want to be in that place as a defense mechanism, looking at our defect of characters. We are willing to allow God to use the strengths that He's given us to be a strength, and where we're weak to rely on Him. So willingness is a state of mind and emotion that propels us into action. We may have the best intentions, but if we're not willing, we're not going to do it. So come on, be willing. Now I have another poem for you today. And we're going to be closing out in just a minute. And this one is called Broken Dreams. As children, bring broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He was my friend. But then instead of leaving Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last, I snatched them back and cried, "How can you be so slow?" "My child," He said, "what could I do? You never let go." So this is, and that author was unknown. So the thing is to let go and let God. Remember, recovery works. There's many pathways to recovery. Your recovery is for you. Let's do this. Recovery is doable. You can do it. One day at a time, one step at a time. Be patient with yourself. It took time to get in this place. I just want to tell you, thank you for being here. This is Thorn in the Flesh, and I'm Pastor Deborah, and I'll see you next time. God bless.